At 37, the town wiped him out, not with a gun, not with a grave, but with certainty. By 38, his name was something parents warned their kids about. By 40, people talked about him like he was already gone. And by 62, he would walk back into a place that had decided years ago that he didn't deserve to exist. But none of that mattered yet, because on this morning, this painfully normal American morning, Michael Turner still believed his life made sense. Michael Turner woke up at 5:12 a.m. He knew the time because it burned itself into his memory like a brand. Sunlight slipped through the blinds in thin stripes, cutting across the bedroom wall. The house was quiet in that way only working-class neighborhoods get before dawn. No sirens yet, no traffic, just the hum of a fridge and the distant sound of someone else's alarm going off a block away. His wife Laura slept beside him, turned toward the wall, one hand tucked under her cheek. She always slept like that, always had. From down the hall came the soft sound of a kid breathing too loud through her nose. Sophie, 6 years old, still believed adults knew what they were doing. Michael lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling fan, letting it spin. This, right here, was the best part of his day. Before work boots, before responsibility, before the grind kicked him in the teeth again. Nothing felt off, nothing warned him. He swung his legs over the bed, careful not to wake Laura, and padded into the kitchen in his socks. Coffee, toast, same damn routine. A boring life, sure, but a clean one. Michael Turner wasn't special, and in his town, that worked in his favor. He was an electrical maintenance tech for the county utilities department. The kind of guy who showed up when power went out during storms. The kind who climbed poles in freezing rain while everyone else stayed home. Not rich, not flashy, but dependable as hell. Neighbors trusted him. Teachers waved at him. Little league coaches asked him to help wire the dugout lights. Lara used to joke, "You're like a human smoke detector. Nobody notices you until something's broken." Michael liked that. He checked the fridge calendar while spinning his coffee. Sophie's spelling test, dentist appointment Friday, fix back, gate, written in Laura's handwriting. Life reduced to small, manageable problems. Life that didn't scare him. At 6:05 a.m., something went wrong. It started as flashing light bouncing off the living room wall. Red, blue, red again. Michael frowned. Cops didn't roll through their street unless something bad had happened somewhere else. Then came the knock. No, not a knock. A hard, angry pounding. The kind that doesn't ask. "Please, open the door." Laura sat straight up. What the hell is that? Michael was already moving, heart thumping but brain still stuck in neutral. By the time he reached the door, Sophie was crying from the hallway. "Daddy." He opened it in a wrinkled t-shirt and socks. 3 squad cars, 6 officers, hands near their belts. The porch light felt too bright. "Michael Turner," one officer asked. "Yeah," Michael said. "What's going on?" Nobody answered him. Hands grabbed his arms. Cold cuffs snapped shut. Laura screamed. Sophie appeared at the end of the hallway clutching her stuffed unicorn, eyes wide, confused, terrified. "Daddy, what's happening?" Michael turned his head. That was the last normal moment of his life. The station smelled like disinfectant and old coffee. Michael sat in a metal chair while people moved around him like he wasn't really there. No yelling, no beatdown, just assumptions. A detective slid a folder across the table. "A kid went missing last night, 7 years old, from Lincoln Park." Michael shook his head. "I don't." They showed him a photo. His work truck. "Your vehicle was seen nearby. I drive past that park every day." Another pause. "A witness saw a guy who looks like you." Michael swallowed. "Looks like me isn't me." The detective leaned back. That fence behind the park was busted. Your prints were on it. That's a utility access fence, Michael said. I fix that gate all the time. The detective sighed like Michael was being difficult. That's now how this looks. Michael felt the floor tilt. I didn't do this. The words landed flat. By the time Laura was allowed into the room, the label had already stuck. Suspect. News moved fast. By noon, his face was on Facebook. By dinner, his name was being whispered in grocery aisles. By morning, parents were locking their doors. People wanted answers. They wanted fear to wear a face. Michael's face worked just fine. Friends started giving Laura advice that sounded a lot like blame. Maybe take Sophie to your sisters for a bit. You don't really know someone. Kids come first. Within a week, Sophie wasn't allowed to visit. Laura stopped answering calls. Michael watched his life get buried from behind glass. And still, he believed. Because innocent people always think truth has weight. They're wrong. 2 weeks later, they found the kid, dead. The town didn't mourn. It snapped. Vigils turned into demands. Candles turned into rage. Michael sat in a cell while people outside screamed for blood. The prosecutor visited him that night. "You should consider a plea," she said calmly. "For what?" Michael asked. "It'll go easier on your family." Michael laughed, a dry, broken sound. "You want me to confess to something I didn't do?" She didn't blink. "I want you to be realistic." That word again, realistic. The courtroom was packed every day, not for justice, for closure. Michael's public defender was decent but drowning, overworked, underpaid. The prosecution told a clean story, not a true one, just clean. Timelines lined up just enough, coincidences stacked neatly, doubt framed as deception. When Michael testified, his hands shook, not because he lied, because he knew no one believed him. Laura wasn't there. When the verdict came, it felt distant, like hearing thunder through walls. Guilty. Laura fainted somewhere in the hall. Sophie screamed his name once before someone pulled her away. Michael didn't scream. He felt his chest cave in. 35 years. No parole. He was 37 when the door slammed shut. Prison smelled like metal, sweat, and despair. Michael lay on a thin mattress, staring at a ceiling carved with names of men who stopped believing long before him. He waited for rage, for violence, for something that made sense. Instead, confusion. This has to be a mistake. Someone will fix this. Sleep never came. By morning, the idea that the system corrected itself had started to rot. The first year, Michael explained. The second year, he learned who not to talk to. The third year, he learned silence kept him alive. Innocent guys attract predators. They don't look hard enough yet, so Michael learned to keep his head down. Letters went out. Appeals came back denied. Outside, Sophie turned 7, then 8, then 9. Inside, time didn't move forward. It sank. The first thing Michael lost wasn't freedom. It was voice, then identity. He became a number, a schedule, a body. Hope didn't vanish. It thinned, like breath in winter air. By the end of year 1, Michael Turner understood something terrifying. The world had replaced him without hesitation. One night, listening to another man cry in the dark, Michael whispered, "I didn't do this, not to prove it, but to remember it, because even innocence rots when it's never spoken." That sentence became his anchor. He just didn't know it yet. By morning, Michael Turner wasn't a man with a future. He was a man with time, and when time is weaponized by injustice, it becomes the cruelest punishment there is. There's a moment after a verdict is read, when a man stops being a person and becomes a conclusion. Michael Turner crossed that line quietly. No riot, no cheers, just the soft, final sound of a door locking behind him. Outside the courthouse, the town exhaled. They had their answer. and answers are comforting even when they're wrong. The transport van smelled like old vinyl and sweat. Michael sat cuffed to a metal bench, knees pressed together, staring at the floor as the engine rumbled to life. Through the small, scratched window, he watched his town slide past. The diner where he used to grab coffee before early shift, the park where Sophie learned to ride her bike, the hardware store where everyone knew his name. Nobody looked up, nobody waved. It wasn't that they hated him. Worse, they were done with him. The van turned onto the highway, and just like that, Michael Turner became a former thing. By the time Michael reached state intake, the narrative was already locked. Online forums dissected his face, talk radio debated his type, true crime podcasts speculated with fake sympathy. He seemed normal, they always do. The wife didn't know. Laura stopped answering her phone, not because she believed he was guilty, but because the world was screaming at her that survival required distance. People don't abandon you loudly, they do it politely. Prison intake is designed to erase clothes into a bin, wedding ring into an envelope, name replaced with a number. A guard shaved Michael's head without asking. Cold clippers, no mirror. Arms out, he complied. Turn, he complied. By the end of the hour, the man who fixed power lines during storms was wearing state-issued fabric and answering to a number he didn't recognize. Hope wasn't taken, it was disoriented. The cell was narrow, concrete walls sweating cold, a bunk bolted to the wall. His cellmate didn't look at him, didn't speak. That was mercy. Michael lay awake listening to sounds he'd never forget. Metal doors slamming, someone yelling in pain, someone else laughing too hard at nothing. Prison doesn't scare you all at once. It lets fear drip slowly until you stop noticing this taste. Innocent men arrive loud. They explain, they argue, they expect logic to intervene. Michael lasted 3 weeks. That's how long it took him to realize explanations marked you as prey, marked you as naive. So he learned when to look down, when to speak, when silence was armor. Every lesson cost something. Michael wrote Laura every week. No accusations, no anger, just facts. I didn't do this. I miss Sophie. I'm still here. At first, Laura wrote back. Short messages, careful words. Then gaps appeared. Weeks, months, until one day the envelope came back. Returned to sender. Michael stared at the stamp for a long time. That was the moment he understood something brutal. Love can survive distance, but it doesn't always survive public shame. Michael marked Sophie's growth on the wall. 7, 8, 9. Then the gods repainted the cell. The marks vanished. So did the updates. Birthdays passed in silence. Michael imagined her voice changing, her handwriting improving, her memories of him blurring. Children don't forget on purpose. They forget because forgetting hurts less. Prisons run on invisible currencies: respect, silence, usefulness. Michael had no muscle, no connections, no reputation. So he offered the only thing he had left: skill. He fixed fans, rewired lamps, repaired radio. Things needed him. Year 3. The laundry room. A younger inmate pushed him, testing. Michael didn't swing, didn't run. He stood still, eyes level. Not worth it, he said. The other man hesitated, then walked away. Michael's hands shook for an hour afterward. Courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's just refusal. Appeals were denied one by one. Legal language is cold. Insufficient grounds. No new evidence. Conviction stands. Each letter chipped away at something inside him. Hope, unchecked, turns cruel. So Michael learned to ration it. Tiny amounts, controlled doses, enough to breathe, not enough to dream. Outside, life continued. Laura remarried quietly. Sophie started calling another man dad. Michael heard it from a god who liked gossip. He said nothing. That night, he didn't sleep. Grief isn't explosive in prison, it seeps. By year 5, Michael stopped counting days. He continued routines: wake, work, eat, survive. And somewhere in that mechanical rhythm, something inside him shifted, not acceptance, endurance. He didn't know yet that endurance would become the foundation of everything that followed. But the man who arrived expecting rescue was gone. In his place stood someone quieter, harder, still innocent, still breathing. Prison doesn't change you overnight. It waits. It lets time do the work. By year 6, Michael Turner no longer woke up hoping to be saved. He woke up planning how to last. That was the first transformation. Michael started working out in the yard, not to look tough, to feel real. Push-ups on cracked concrete, pull-ups on rusted bars, running laps in circles that went nowhere. Pain was honest. Pain didn't lie. His body hardened in ways his spirit hadn't yet caught up to. Gods noticed, so did inmates. Respect followed, not admiration, just acknowledgement. In prison, that's currency. An older inmate named Ray worked maintenance with him. White beard, dead eyes, 28 years inside. One afternoon, Ray watched Michael rewire a breaker panel and said, "Careful, man, you're still acting like you're passing through." Michael didn't look up. "I am," he said. Ray chuckled. "Nah, passing through men doesn't survive this long without changing." That stuck, because Michael knew it was true. At night, memories became hostile. Lara's laugh, Sophie's bedtime questions, Sunday mornings that used to feel endless. They didn't comfort him anymore. They accused him. You start to realize something in prison. The past isn't a refuge, it's a weapon. So Michael began doing something dangerous. He stopped replaying. Michael mastered invisibility, not hiding, blending. He learned when to move and when not to, which guards noticed patterns, which inmates needed space. He didn't gamble, didn't join cliques, didn't borrow favors. He became forgettable, and forgettable men live longer. During a summer storm, half the block lost power. Lights died, doors froze, panic started humming. Guards shouted out orders no one could hear. Michael didn't wait to be asked. He followed the conduit, found the fault. Jury rigged a temporary fix using scrap wire and tape. Lights flickered back on. The noise stopped. A guard stared at him for a long moment, then said quietly, "You ever done electrical work outside?" Michael nodded. That night changed his trajectory. Maintenance access came with freedom, not real freedom, but corridors others never saw. Basements, storage rooms, control panels. Michael saw how the building breathed when cameras failed, where logs lagged, which logs were sloppy. He didn't plan anything, but information was weight, and it settles in your mind whether you want it or not. A man named Cruz approached him one evening. Sharp smile, too calm. "Heard you're good with systems," Cruz said. Michael said nothing. "Relax, just talking," Cruz added. "Things break around here, sometimes on purpose." Michael finally answered, "I fix things. I don't disappear them." Cruz studied him, then shrugged. "Suit yourself." That was the test. Michael passed by refusing, but tests don't stop once you pass them. They escalate. Weeks later, contraband was found in a storage room Michael had accessed. Not planted, but not his. He was pulled aside, questioned, threatened with reassignment. Michael didn't panic. He recited his logs, named time spans, referenced camera angles. The card checked. Everything lined up. For the first time, Michael realized something unsettling. He knew this place better than it knew him. One afternoon, his name was called for mail. That almost never happened anymore. The envelope was unfamiliar, no return address. Inside was a single page, typed, "You didn't do this. I know, because I did. I am sorry." No signature. Michael's hands went cold. Prison noises faded, because for the first time in years, the world cracked open again. Hope came back fast, too fast. Questions flooded in. Who sent it? Why now? Was it real or a game? Michael burned the letter in the sink that night, watched the paper curl. He couldn't afford hope, not yet. But something had changed. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was alert. After the letter, Michael started noticing patterns, transfers, disciplinary actions, which inmates avoided certain blocks. He wasn't investigating. He was observing, like an electrician listening for a shot. And something, somewhere in the system, was humming wrong. By the end of the year 7, Michael Turner was no longer just an inmate. He was a problem the system hadn't anticipated. Too quiet, too capable, too patient. Innocence hadn't made him weak, it had made him precise. And precision in a broken system is dangerous. Hope is loud. The system hates loud things. Within weeks of the letter, the prison adjusted quietly. Schedules shifted, assignments changed, eyes lingered longer than before. Michael Turner didn't need anyone to tell him. He could feel it. When a place like this notices you, it's never by accident. Maintenance pulled him off electrical. No explanation, no warning. One morning his badge didn't open the workshop door. A guard shrugged. Orders from above. Michael was sent to laundry. Hot, humiliating, designed to erase usefulness. That was the message. You are replaceable. Michael folded uniforms without reacting, but inside, gears were turning. Systems fail when they assume obedience. Laundry had cameras, but fewer. Blind spots behind steam vents, noise that swallowed conversations. Michael didn't talk much, but he listened. Inmates complain when they think no one important is around. That's how Michael learned 2 names. Ivan Cole, transfer 8 years ago. A cold ripple moved through him. 8 years ago was when his life ended. Ivan Cole worked intake records, civilian job, state contractor, badge, not bars. Michael watched him from across the floor. Cole avoided eye contact, always left early, carried himself like someone who didn't belong in cages. One afternoon, Cole snapped at an inmate for asking a simple question. Too hard, too scared. Fear always leaks sideways. Michael adjusted his timing. Laundry breaks synced with intake shifts. Trash runs lined up with Cole's exit. No stalking, mapping. When Cole passed him one day, Michael said casually, "Cold case transfers are a nightmare, huh?" Cole froze, just for half a second. But half a second is confession if you know how to read it. Cole forced a laugh. "Yeah, bureaucratic mess." Michael nodded. "Yeah," he said. "People get buried in those." Cole didn't answer. He walked faster. 3 nights later, Michael found paper folded inside a borrowed book. Different font, same voice. "Stop looking. They won't let you leave alive." No apology this time, only fear. Michael smiled for the first time in years, because innocence doesn't threaten systems. Knowledge does. Michael remembered something an old lifer once told him years back. Truth is useless unless someone powerful is afraid of it. So Michael stopped asking questions and started creating pressure. He logged maintenance complaints anonymously, targeted intake systems. Paperwork slowed, audits increased, Cole stayed late more often. Stress eats people from the inside. One night, Cole confronted him in the corridor, low voice, shaking hands. "You need to mind your own damn business," Cole hissed. Michael didn't flinch. "I've been minding other people's mistakes my whole life." Cole's face drained of color. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he whispered. That sentence didn't belong there. Michael leaned closer. "Neither did I." Cole backed away like he'd seen a ghost. Michael filed a single request: access to archived electrical schematics. Approved automatically. No one cross-checked why an inmate needed them. Inside, the blueprints were timestamps, security upgrades, camera installs, and one glaring omission. The intake room camera was down the night evidence was logged in Michael's case, marked as temporary offline, signed by Ivan Cole. Michael didn't expose it, not yet. Instead, he leaked it. Anonymous tips to oversight, redundant complaints, patterned inconsistencies. Systems panic when mirrors are held up. Auditors arrived. Cole stopped sleeping. Michael watched him unravel from a distance. Patience wins wars faster than force. The prison went into sudden lockdown, unscheduled, unexplained. Michael was pulled from his bunk and escorted to segregation. No charges, no paperwork, just concrete and silence. That's when he knew he was close, and close gets punished. 3 days into the hole, a woman in a gray suit appeared. No badge, no introduction. She spoke like someone used to being obeyed. "You're causing administrative instability," she said. Michael met her eyes. "You built it unstable." A pause. Then she leaned forward. "Men like you disappear." Michael replied calmly. "Men like me leave paper." She studied him for a long moment, then stood. "We'll be in touch." She left. The door didn't slam. That scared him more. Michael was released from segregation the next morning, reassigned, back to maintenance, back to access, back to corridors. That was the signal. They were done pushing. Now they were negotiating. And Michael Turner finally understood. This wasn't about freedom anymore. This was about control of the narrative. And narratives, once cracked, never fully seal again. A name only matters when someone remembers it. For years, Michael Turner had been a number stamped on paperwork no one reread. Now, his name was moving again, and movement makes systems nervous. The call came on a Wednesday, midday. No warning, no explanation. Michael was escorted, not dragged, to a small interview room. Glass walls, no cuffs, 2 chairs. A woman waited outside. Early 40s, sharp blazer, eyes trained to spot lies before they're spoken. She stood when he entered. "Mr. Turner," she said. She used his name. That hadn't happened in decades. "My name is Rachel Moore. I'm with the Innocence Review Board." Michael sat slowly, didn't speak. Hope was still dangerous. Rachel slid a folder across the table. "Thick, too thick. Your case came back across my desk 3 months ago," she said. "I didn't believe like it should." Michael raised an eyebrow. "How's that?" She tapped the file. Evidence logged late, witness statements rewritten, and a contractor who touched too many things he shouldn't have. Michael leaned back. Ivan Cole. Rachel exhaled. "So you do know." Michael shrugged. "I listen." Rachel didn't open the file. Instead, she asked quietly, "Why didn't you burn this place down when you figured it out?" Michael looked at the glass, at his reflection, older, heavier, quieter. "Because innocent men who scream sound guilty," he said, "and guilty systems panic when you whisper." That was when Rachel nodded. She believed him. Rachel leaned forward. "Your daughter testified in a family court last year," she said. Michael's chest tightened. "Emily?" Rachel nodded. "She referenced a letter you never received. That triggered a chain audit." The room felt smaller. Michael's voice cracked despite himself. "She wrote me?" Rachel slid a photocopy across the table. Folded, faded, real. Michael didn't touch it. Not yet. 2 days later, everything slowed. Phone privileges reduced, mail delayed, work hours shortened. No explanation. Again, Rachel noticed. So did oversight, and pressure flipped direction. Cole was placed on administrative leave, his office sealed, computers imaged. The same system that once buried Michael now began eating one of its own. The confession wasn't dramatic, no courtroom, no tears, just a recorded interview. Cole admitted to rerouting evidence to protect a separate suspect, a man connected to a donor, a deal, a favor, a quiet nudge. Michael Turner was collateral. The tape ended with Cole saying, "I didn't think he'd survive." That line reached Michael through Rachel. He smiled bitterly. I outlasted him. Legal wheels grind, everyone knows that. But once they turn in reverse, they tear things apart. Prosecutors reopened the case, public defenders lined up, media caught wind. Michael's name surfaced online, not as a monster, but as a question. And questions scare institutions more than accusations. That night, Michael lay awake, not from fear, from anticipation. He read Emily's letter, then read it again, then once more. She had been 12, confused, angry, still loved him. She had never abandoned him. He pressed the paper to his chest. For the first time in decades, something inside him unknotted. A week later, Rachel returned, this time with a man in a navy suit, the kind who smelled like courtrooms and confidence. This is Thomas Reed, Rachel said. He's taken your case pro bono. Michael blinked. Why? Thomas smiled thinly. Because if this goes public, it'll be historic, and because you're innocent. Two reasons, both dangerous. Before leaving, Rachel paused at the door. Mr. Turner, when this breaks open, it won't be clean. Michael nodded. I didn't survive clean, he said. I survived honest. Rachel smiled. That's why we're here. 2 weeks later, a motion was filed. Conviction review hearing scheduled. The paper trembled in Michael's hands. This wasn't freedom, not yet, but it was movement, and movement is life. That night, Michael stood in his cell, older, scarred, unbroken. For the first time since he was 37, he allowed himself to imagine a future, not a fantasy, a responsibility. If he walked out, he won't just reclaim his life, he'd expose a machine, and machines don't forgive. Courtrooms don't like surprises. They're designed for order, predictability, outcomes that feel inevitable. Michael Turner was a surprise, and surprises make the system defensive. The transport van stopped outside the country courthouse at 8:41 a.m. Michael hadn't seen this building in 25 years. Same stone steps, same flag, same doors that once swallowed him whole. As guards escorted him out, a small crowd gathered, not cheering, not hostile, curious. Phones lifted, whispers spread. Is that him? That's the guy. I thought he was dead. Michael kept his eyes forward. In prison, you learn one rule fast. Don't look for approval. It never comes clean. The courtroom went quiet when he entered, not respectful quiet, the kind where people are recalculating. The judge, Harold Whitman, late 60s, known for being procedural to a fault, adjusted his glasses and stared longer than necessary. Michael sat beside Thomas Reed. Rachel Moore took a seat behind them. The prosecution shuffled papers, too many papers. That was fear. Assistant DA Kevin Blake stood first. Confident smile, perfect tie. Your Honor, Blake began. While we respect the review process, the state believes this motion is premature. Michael almost laughed. Premature. After 25 years, Blake continued, pacing slightly. The original conviction was supported by circumstantial evidence deemed sufficient at the time. Thomas leaned toward Michael and whispered, He's stalling. Michael nodded. He'd waited decades. He could wait minutes. Thomas stood. No theatrics, no pacing, just facts. Your Honor, he said calmly, this hearing exists because evidence was mishandled. Witnesses were influenced, and forensic material now conclusively points elsewhere. He paused, then dropped the line like a hammer. And because the state contractor admitted, on record, to redirecting evidence, the courtroom murmured. Judge Whitman stiffened. That admission, Thomas continued, was never disclosed to the defense, which makes the original trial not just flawed, he looked directly at the judge, but unconstitutional. Silence, the heavy kind. Unexpectedly, the judge turned to Michael. Mr. Turner, Whitman said, do you wish to address the court? Thomas tensed. Rachel held her breath. Michael stood slowly. Every joint protested, but his voice was steady. I spent 25 years being told to wait my turn, Michael said. I waited. I followed every rule. He looked around the room. I didn't come here angry. I came here honest. He paused. I just want the truth to finish what the lie started. No dramatics, no plea, just truth, and that landed harder than shouting ever could. Rachel stood next, with permission. She presented the DNA report, the match, the timeline, the name of the actual offender, now incarcerated in another state. Gasps spread. Blake's face tightened. Judge Whitman leaned back. This wasn't a crack, it was a fracture. Blake objected. Procedural this, technical that, but the words were rushed, messy. The judge raised his hand. I've heard enough for today. Michael's heart pounded. This was the moment that mattered. Judge Whitman spoke carefully. This court grants a full evidentiary review, he said, effective immediately. A pause. Mr. Turner will remain in custody pending review. Not freedom, but not death either. Movement. The gavel struck. And just like that, the wall shifted. Reporters rushed. Questions flew. Mr. Turner, how does it feel? Do you blame the town? Are you angry? Michael said nothing. Thomas stepped in. There will be time for statements, he said. Rachel leaned close to Michael and whispered, They didn't expect this. Michael nodded. Neither did I, he said. Back in his cell, Michael received a visitor. Special clearance, Emily. Older than his memory, stronger than his guilt. They stood separated by glass. She pressed her hand up. He mirrored it. I never stopped wondering, she said softly. I never stopped waiting, he replied. They didn't say sorry. They didn't need to. That night, Michael didn't sleep, not from fear, from momentum. For the first time, time wasn't crushing him, it was carrying him. Before leaving, Rachel had said one last thing. Michael, when the system realizes it's losing, it fights ugly. Michael smiled faintly. I've already survived ugly, he said. I am not scared of it anymore.